This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Donald Trump right now is on a path to, in an attempt to remain relevant in the mind of his supporters, his worshipers, the members of the cult that spreads from coast to coast. He's making the media rounds, and when you're someone like Donald Trump, who's never really done anything in his entire life, who's given everything by his father, who was industrious and intelligent to some degree, but when you're Donald Trump and you're a dumb guy, and your claim to fame is your bombacity, you have to keep upping the ante. Excuse me. You have to continue to be radical and say stupid, unfounded things that fly in the face of reality. And that is what's happening right now. Donald Trump went on with Sean Hannity for an interview, even though there's really no tough questions to answer. And it was one of the most unhinged things, even for Donald Trump, some of the things that are coming out of his mouth, some of the claims being made by Sean Hannity in their dual effort to try to rewrite history. Because when history is not on your side, when the truth is not on your side, when you can't deal with reality on reality's terms, you have to lie and finger point and raise the stakes relative to insanity. And that's what happened. I'm going to play 3 clips and we'll talk about each of them. Here's the first.
Now this information is out today where more Americans have died this year of COVID-19 than died in all of 2020.
And that's how it began. In an attempt to rewrite history and act as though Donald Trump's COVID response from a policy perspective was correct or right or rational or sane, for that matter. Ignoring the bleach and the promotion of unproven drugs that still have yet... No one's talking about hydroxychloroquine anymore. Remember how much airtime Donald Trump took up talking about hydroxychloroquine? And now they want to act like, oh, you did a great job. More people have died in 2021 than in 2020 when you were president. One, the first deaths from COVID didn't happen in the United States until into the year of 2020. We've had the entire year to try to deal with and combat the recalcitrance of Republicans and the vaccine hesitant people who are refusing to wear a mask and get vaccinated in an effort to protect their neighbors, in an effort to protect themselves. How many right-wing radio host dipshits have gone on the air to bemoan vaccines and talk about how masks don't work, only to die of COVID, crying on their deathbeds about how everybody should get vaccinated and they made a mistake? How many? That's where it started. They continued to talk about the vaccine. They continued to talk about vaccine hesitancy. And rather than have a mea culpa and say, yeah, listen, this is very important. Over 700,000 Americans have died. We are losing our very electorate. Our disparate constituencies are dying of the virus because of the hesitancy that we have fomented. Rather than do that, what do you think they do? Of course, they blamed Joe Biden.
Well, I was saying the other day, it was very interesting. During my administration, everybody wanted the vaccine. There was nobody saying, oh, gee, I don't want to take it. Now they say that, and that's because they don't trust the Biden administration. I can think of no other reason. But they say, we don't want it. We aren't going to take it. When I was there, everybody wanted it, and we were doing great.
When I was there, everybody wanted it, and we were doing great. First of all, there was no vaccine when you were there. Secondly, It is because of you and your ilk and your compatriots, Donald Trump, you absolute, abject, dumb f***. It is because of you that people are hesitant about the vaccine. Remember, every living president got the vaccine with publicity to ensure the public that it is safe. Donald Trump didn't admit until months later that he got the vaccine in an effort to discredit Joe Biden. Joe Biden was dealt a terrible hand relative to this pandemic. Listen, Donald Trump was dealt a bad hand relative to the pandemic. Nobody asks for that. But it is how one steps up in a moment of crisis that defines them as a leader. And Donald Trump instructed us to inject bleach or light up our asses or whatever. He failed the test of leadership. He failed the test of having a legacy that will be looked upon fondly. I don't believe Joe Biden is failing that test. In fact, if anything, Joe Biden's not aggressive enough relative to vaccine mandates or instructing the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, to require vaccines to even get on a plane. If anything, he's not doing enough. But he certainly is not shy about promoting the vaccine and its efficacy and its safety and its freeness. Freeness is not a word, but you get what I mean. This is the modern Republican Party. We are witnessing. Listen, remember when Alex Jones was just a fringe freak? This is now the Republican Party. All these weird fringe ideas talking about unproven treatments, trying to pawn off vaccine hesitancy on Joe Biden when they created it. It's the same thing with the election nonsense. It is the same thing. Lots of people have questions about the election integrity. The reason they have questions is because of Donald Trump and the lies that he spewed. The same thing could be said for the vaccine. The same exact thing. Yeah, people are hesitant. They do have questions because they believe Republican leaders. They believe conservative media idiots. Tucker Carlson goes on every single night, yammering mindlessly about hesitancy in the vaccine and how it's appropriate. We should have questions. I'm just asking questions here. Flying in the face of science, of facts, of data. And this next clip, I was trying to think of a way to segue to it cleverly, but I'm not that clever. Right now we have a situation on our border where not only people from South and Central America are coming here for a better life, we also have people from Haiti attempting to come here because their country has been ravaged by political unrest, by natural disaster, and they're desperate. And Donald Trump, who apparently never left the 1980s, still believes that fomenting fear and curating an environment of fear of AIDS is a thing that's going to work, because he must be terrified to catch AIDS at his local diner. He's trying to do that with Haitian immigrants. Watch this just bananas moment from this interview.
And, you know, there's one other thing that nobody talks about. So we have hundreds of thousands of people flowing in from Haiti. Haiti has a tremendous AIDS problem. AIDS is a step beyond. AIDS is a real bad problem. So hundreds of thousands of people are coming into our country. And if you look at the stats, if you look at the numbers, if you look at, just take a look at what's happening in Haiti, a tremendous problem with AIDS. Many of those people will probably have AIDS, and they're coming into our country, and we don't do anything about it. We let everybody come in. Sean, it's like a death wish. It's like a death wish for our country.
How many times did the word AIDS, was the word AIDS mentioned in that clip? AIDS, which certainly is a terrible disease, is treatable, is preventable, is not a threat to the general public. Donald Trump, who didn't take an actual pandemic seriously, is now trying to fearmonger around the fear that existed in the 80s. He certainly seems to want to take the tack of Ronald Reagan in ignoring and creating fear, going with that rather than actual policy. Anyway, listen, Donald Trump's not going away. I know a lot of people, why are you still talking about Donald Trump? Why are you still talking about Donald Trump? The reason I am talking about Trump is because with Trump is Trumpism, and Trumpism isn't going away. And unless we understand the threat that is posed by these dangerous charlatans and grifters and demagogues like Donald Trump, we are going to be facing a much more serious problem unless we understand the threat. That is why it is important to continue to keep our eye on the ball, lest we suffer through another administration of a Trump or someone like him. Maybe someone who's actually smart and understands the game a little better, and then we'll be in real trouble with the Ron DeSantis, an Ivy League educated Ron DeSantis, or a Josh Hawley, or even, don't see this happening, but a Ted Cruz, someone who's got a little bit of brains and not afraid or ashamed to disgrace the country and the Constitution and their oath to those two things. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. You can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in as often as you do. Thanks for following me on social media. Connecting with me there is a great way to reach out. If you appreciate what I do, as often as I do it, which is more now, I would appreciate you considering supporting my work here on the platform for as little as $1.99 per month. You can click the join button below this video, become a channel member, wherever the little join button is. Clicking doesn't automatically join you. Clicking gives you information about what to do. You can check it out. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. That's for my podcast. Not just for my podcast, it's also for this, but that's also where my podcast, you should subscribe to the podcast. I don't know how I'm not getting there that quickly. But subscribe to my podcast. We're getting ready to do a lot more, putting filmed versions on YouTube. My co-host Brittany Page and I are getting ready to go back to 2 episodes per week. It's a good time. A lot more information, a lot more loosey-goosey, a lot more F words from me. Sorry. If that's not your bag, then maybe the podcast isn't for you. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. I love you. I appreciate you. Be genuine. Take care of one another.